Hi, Jenni here. And if I say the words bookstagram, booktok, book social media, I'm sure one of the things that comes to mind is aesthetically pleasing feeds. So I've been posting on Instagram about my books and my reading journey for about 6 months now. And while I've always tried to take pretty pictures, aesthetically pleasing pictures, play with sunlight, the little that we have during winter here in Finland, I don't really take aesthetically pleasing photos that often. Sometimes, if I'm lucky, that happens. I cannot maintain like an aesthetically pleasing, thematically matching feed to save my life. But while I was in Kriti, I took this picture of Emily Henry's funny story that featured 2 blue towels with the cover which is blue. I was like, hold on, this could lead to something. I then took a photo of Stillborn by Guadalupe Nettel, which is a Fitzcarraldo edition, and they are known for their simplistic blue covers. Then I added my headphones into the photo. I was drinking a cup of tea. My mug was blue. You get the idea. Those 2 photos matched beautifully together. So I tried, let me try out an aesthetically pleasing feed and try to post only books that are blue. Now, my annoying mind thought so because I keep my feed mostly as reviews. I don't like post pretty photos of books and then unrelated caption. It's usually a book review or an author highlighting post where I post like a little dedication to one author specifically. So with that in mind, I knew that I would have to post new books. Obviously, I have plenty of blue books on my shelves, but because I wasn't currently reading them, I decided that I needed to find new blue books to post. So I went to the library. Unfortunately, couldn't find there anything specifically blue and a book that interests me. Then I bought a couple of books, Romance Stories by Jhumpa Lahiri and August Blue by Deborah Levy. I then also went on Libby and found one book there. And then I started reading. I felt like because I wanted to complete and have this blue feed quickly, I read those books much quicker than I probably normally would. I enjoyed all of those books. Funny Stories was very entertaining and really fitting for a holiday read. Then I posted about Ariadne and Hera and all of Jennifer Saint's books. I liked Ariadne and Hera best. They're not my favorite books, but I enjoyed them. Stillborn by Guadalupe Nettel. I just talked about this in a recent video. I really loved it. August Blue by Deborah Levy or Levi was really interesting and very existential and reflective and really deep. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Megan Keating's The Women Could Fly, I thought it was interesting. It had a lot of potential. It was about, a dystopian United States where women, if they aren't married by 30, they would lose all of their rights essentially, and they would be constantly monitored. And also women were being targeted and punished and, burned for witchcraft still in this dystopian novel. It had a lot of potential and it had a lot of interesting aspects. However, it just didn't meet its full potential in my opinion. I feel like it needed editing and a bit of rearranging of plot points and, more editing. So it was a disappointment, but I still am happy that I read it. And obviously Libby is a great source for books. I highly recommend using it if you have a library card. Check out from your local library if they have Libby also. Then the last book that I read was Jhumpa Lahiri's Romance Stories, which I thought was incredible. Jhumpa Lahiri, I've read her before, but I feel like this short story collection was just amazing. Her writing is very reflective and I just loved it. So in that sense, reading for aesthetic reasons was successful in my opinion, but it did restrict what I wanted to read a lot and what I posted about as well. As for my attempt on having an aesthetically pleasing feed, I think to be a fulfilling feed, it should have been 9 posts. However, I didn't want to restrict myself from other books for that long, so I kept it at 6. And like I said, Funny Story and Stillborn, They looked beautiful together, probably because they were taken on sunny days. The Jennifer Saint books, it's quite grey. There was no sunlight. Same for Deborah Levy. Sunlight impacted a lot how my posts looked. I can see that, maintaining an aesthetic, like having the eye to post something that is pleasing to the consumer, it takes a lot of work and it takes talent to see what will be aesthetically pleasing and how do you maintain that same aesthetic. However, when it comes to reading and posting about books and posting book reviews, it shouldn't be about that. Obviously, I understand social media, of course it has to be pretty. Hello, it's social media. But in a way, while I was doing this little challenge that I set for myself, I felt very restricted. And even though these books were really great, I didn't feel like myself as a reader, if that makes sense. I would have probably read these books at some point, but probably not like as a way to build an aesthetically pleasing feed. You can have, obviously, an aesthetically pleasing feed on your social media account and make meaningful posts about books at the same time. Of course, I just want to emphasize that social media shouldn't be about the books looking pretty. It should be about sharing your interests and sharing what you learned or what you got from a book to other readers. However, I feel like nowadays a lot of people who post about reading books, they post about it from entertainment's sake rather than learning's sake. It's more important to show an aesthetically pleasing feed than to actually read. At least for some individuals that I've seen on social media. And in my opinion, posts that are just about, the books looking pretty. I feel like having a feed or only seeing that type of posts instead of posts about books and, what they're about and the poster's opinion on them, it becomes quite sad in my opinion, because those are not exactly about books. It's about the act of reading, and more further it can become the act of reading as a way to present yourself as socially acceptable rather than caring about reading for its sake. So I wouldn't say that everyone who posts aesthetically pleasing feeds are doing it to be performative and to make themselves look better in the eyes of, algorithms and so on. But I do think sometimes it takes away from the reading itself when the book community focuses only on few authors, only few books, and constantly just post about them, if that makes sense. Alright, I hope this video made even some sense. What do you think? When you follow someone on book social media, on bookstagram, booktok, how much an aesthetically pleasing feed impacts your decision to follow? Do you post on social media about books? How do you view that? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, I hope I see you in the next video. Bye!